In this video, I'll demonstrate the old align command. It's kind of sort of replaced by the new 3D align command, but I see little advantage of the new 3D align command. You specify your points in a non-intuitive order, in my opinion. The new command allows you to copy as you align, but that's a kind of minor improvement. When the old align command, I think, is far more intuitive, kind of like bungee cording your duffel bag on the luggage rack of your car in the order of the points you specify. If you want to match my screen, this is in 1 unit high text. And I got the UCS icon showing at the origin, at the 000 point. Let's start with making a hexagon, or kind of a hexagon hockey puck. Okay, a little bit taller than it is wide, but that's okay. We'll click the polygon command. It says enter the number of sides. Default is 4, but I've been practicing, so I'll make it 6 for a hexagon instead of a square. Pick a point. All right, I'll pick around right about there. Inscribed or circumscribed. Inscribed, either one will work. Now the radius 2, enter. And got it on the wrong layer. Always something. Okay, set my current layer back to 0. You'll see why I got layers in a second. There's my hexagon polygon that's extrudable or press pullable. Let me rotate a hair to get a kind of a southwest isometric-ish view, not perfectly isometric, because I don't want points to line up and look like 6-legged spiders, you know. It escaped to get out of 3D free orbit. Notice I use 3D free orbit, not orbit. Okay, I think free orbit is more powerful, more capable than the old orbit. Let's extrude this or press pull it. I showed you extrude in class number 2, intermediate AutoCAD. Let's demonstrate press pull. The hard part of press pull is you got to have a clear shot at the surface you want to lift out or press down. Sometimes that's hard to get a clear shot without any confusion. This is no confusion. I'll just click in this open area. Now it says specify the height. You got to be sure you point in the correct direction. I want to go upward, so I'll go up the Z-axis and type 3, enter. There is my hexagon. Now the original polygon with 6 sides still lives there. I'm going to erase it so it doesn't cause confusion. I'll select it with a regular window. Got it. 1 was found. Enter. Now I'm going to need at least 6 copies of this. I might make 7 for good measure. Oh, and I need 1 to kind of be the pedestal on which I'm going to make my new art sculpture. I'll show you that in a second. It's already made off the screen to the right. So let's make copies of this hexagon. By the way, every point of this hexagon is on the XY plane. There, you rotate the view so you got X and Y perfectly horizontal. And remember, ID enter, the ID command will tell you the X, Y, and Z coordinates. All these bottom points should be Z equals 0. Very easy to accidentally get things off the XY plane. So check frequently. Let's make copies of this hexagon. We'll go to copy. I'll select the hexagon, and I'll probably move them several times, but I want to get them so that I got a clean shot at every endpoint. There. And I think by zooming in, I can home in on it every endpoint. Maybe not as easily as I wanted. There's the 5. Here's the statue. Let me make the base for the statue. I'll copy this guy. We'll start it there. Let's go to conceptual. And there's where, why did that go wrong? Let's do a regen. How did those get moved up? Well, that demonstrates my point. You can easily get things off of the XY coordinate. I'll just draw a line by picking 2 random points without polar tracking. I can move enter for move these 2 back down to the Z axis. E for erase, enter. Now let's rotate. And everything's on the Z axis, on the XY plane. I'll slide them around on the XY plane as necessary. This is the art sculpture we're building here. Get a little better view so you can see all the objects at the same time. This cube here this hexagon is shown in the completed art sculpture as hexagon number 1 at the bottom. We'll place one of these copies on top of it, being hexagon number 2 in the art sculpture. Another copy will hang off the side to be 3, 4 on top, 5 off the side, 6 kind of diagonally. So we're going to make this art sculpture, if you will, by aligning copies of the icon of the hexagon on top of that base I just drew. Let's zoom in, escape to lose 3D free viewing. I don't recommend orbit, or 3D free orbit, I should be saying. Let's go back to wireframe. I prefer free orbit instead of orbit. Unfortunately, orbit is the first on the flyout. So remember, the first time you use this icon, drop down the flyout to select. Come on, Burgener. There we go. To select free orbit, more capable. I think worth getting used to. All right, let's place a copy on top of this one. Well, obviously, since they're both angled the same, if we go down to top view, they're perfectly similar icons. I'll go zoom previous in a second. But all of these are perfectly lined up with all these. We just got to move one to there in the 3D view. And you Z enter, P enter for zoom previous. So I'll start basically. I'm just going to align it so that this point here matches this point here, or is on there. Now, obviously, we could just move it, base point and destination point, but let me exercise a very, very simple use of the align command. I'll draw the bungee cords I'm going to specify. Now, which point do you want on the bottom of this one, or for that matter, could be points on the top, and keep it simple. Well, let's keep this as simple as possible. This point will touch there. This point will touch there. And the back corner will touch there. So it's going to move right on top. And this bottom hexagon will perfectly line up with this bottom hexagon. Top hexagon. Let's draw the bungee cords, though. I've got them colored red, green, and blue to get you used to X, Y, and Z axes colors. Bungee cord number 1, the red one, I want to go from here to there. Bungee cord number 1 is infinitely strong, so the first point, a bungee cord number 1 will perfectly touch the second point bungee cord number 1. Go to bungee cord number 2. Keep it simple, just there to there. Enter. And bungee cord number 3, blue, the very, very weakest of all. I want to go from that corner to that corner. A little 3D orbit. So as you can see, moving and using any of those 3 bungee cords will accomplish the same, but let's start very, very basic and then add complexity as we add more bungee cords or as we add more hexagons. Okay. 3D visual for a good measure again. Go back to 2D. And by the way, X-ray is the advantages of both wireframe and conceptual, but for some reason it displays kind of blurry on my old cheap monitor. So I'm going to toggle back and forth rather than stay on X-ray. Return to 2D wireframe. Let's launch the align command that's on the drop-down section of the modify panel of the home tab of the 3D modeling workspace here. Should have shown you that earlier. Let's go to modify, align, select objects. Only select what you want to move and spin. Most of the time, it's just a single object. You could pick several if you want to move and align an assembly of objects together. Enter. Next step is specify first source point. That's the hook on the the align selected object of the first bungee cord. So that would be the first source point. Now it's asking for first destination point. That would be the opposite end of bungee cord number 1. So it asks for second source point. That would be the bungee cord 2 hook on the aligning object. Second destination is the opposite hook of bungee cord number 2 on the stationary object. Again, this is kind of like bungee cord in a suitcase or a duffel bag onto your luggage rack. Third is source there, third destination is there, and as soon as I click, it's going to align. Again, moving would have been far easier, but I just want to start very, very basic. Let me erase the 3 bungee cords. Next one, we want to take a copy and hang it off of this side. Remember, here's the cube. We want to place number 3, so it's hanging off the side of number 2. So we want one hanging off of this side. Now, similarly, we can copy it using, this is a base point and that is a destination point. But let's make it a little bit harder. Instead of using this side to align with this side, which could be done with the move command, let's select, say, this side to align with this side, or glue onto this side. So it'll, in addition to moving, it's going to rotate, I believe, 30 degrees, if I remember my trigonometry. Let's pick, let's draw the 3 bungee cords again for good practice. Bungee cord number 1 is red. We want the bungee cord number 1 to go to make those 2 points touch. Bungee cord number 1 is infinitely strong. It'll shrink down to 0. Let's go to bungee cord. You don't have to make these layers, but again, start basic. Bungee cord number 2, we want that point to get as close as possible to this point. Bungee cord number 2 is weaker than bungee cord number 1. Go to bungee cord number 3, line. Bungee cord number 3 is the weakest of all of them. The best hook point would be here, but it could be the midpoint, it could be there, it could be there. You know, just any point below on hexagon number 1 on that surface, you know, down the z-axis. Let's see. Okay, we pick corner, so let's keep it simple. We'll pick this corner. As soon as I click, it spins and moves. Ah, sorry, I'm still drawing regular lines. Let's use those lines as guidance for the align command. AL enter, just type in. We'll select what we want to move and spin and hit enter. First source point, that's the red bungee cord. There's first source, there's first destination. Asking for second source, that's the green bungee cord. Second source, second destination. Third source, third destination, and it moves and spins. Again, it could have been, we could get the same result by moving it, but we rotated it in addition to moving it using the align command. What's the next one? 1, 2, 3, 4 is on top. Conceptual. Number 4 is on top of number 2, but the hexagon of hockey puck number 4 is on a vertical plane, not horizontal. Okay, let's go back to 2D wireframe. Go back here. Which one do we want to move and rotate? Let's pick the bottom one as usual. Okay, which surface rectangular surface do we want to lay flat on this hexagonal surface? One might be a little more intuitive than the other. Let's pick this one here. We want this rectangle to lay flat on this hexagon so that, say, these bottom 2 points coincide with these 2 points. Okay. Probably do it with these 2 points, but it's a little bit more hard to imagine. Let's go to our bungee cords again. First bungee cord will go from here to there. Second bungee cord will go from line command there to there. Okay. However, we got to kind of flip and spin the hexagon hockey puck as it aligns. So the wrong one. Bungee cord number 3 source point should be hooked in there. Go as close as possible to here. Could be there. Bungee cord number 3 is weakest, so it's they're flexible in your selection of points. We'll make it the obvious one. Imagine what we're doing. Rotate. It's going to kind of spin, flip, and move with the align command. Try to leave them where I got clean shots at O snaps. Now, what happened there? I'm at a loss on why it did no snap. Maybe it was out slightly outside. There. Okay, let's go to modify, pull down, drop down a line, select what we want to spin, rotate, move with the align command, enter. Red one is bungee cord number 1. Source point is there. Destination of bungee cord number 1 is there. Second source point, green, so that would be there. Second source point is there. Third bungee cord source point is there. And the third destination point on bungee cord number 3 is there. And as soon as I click, it'll do its thing. Did its thing. Let's lose the guidelines. Let's change the conceptual. So far, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the same as 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is hanging off the edge. Okay. So we want one of the hexagon shapes of a remaining hockey puck to glue to this surface. So the 2 corners hang from these 2 points. Okay, let's return to 2D wireframe. Do I need to draw the guidelines still? Red, green, blue for 1, 2, 3 bungee cords. Eventually, you stop needing them. Let's maybe watch the previous in this video to get an idea of going straight to the align command. Now, which hexagon surface of this puck do we want to glue to this surface? Top or bottom? Flip a coin, let's say top. I'm going to glue this hexagon to this rectangle so that 2 corner points are at the top of the rectangle. Which 2 corner points? Pick a point. Let's make it complicated. This back 2 corner points will hang from the top of the rectangle. Okay, let's go straight to the align command. I'll select what I want to spin, rotate, and move. Enter. Source point 1, that'll be one of the 2 top points. Let's hang it from there to there. Okay, visualize what it's going to be, and you'll see that, yep, those 2 points should coincide. Second source point should be as close as possible. Remember, bungee cord 2 is weaker than bungee cord number. As a matter of fact, that midpoint will work. But this end point is most intuitive. Now, the hard part. Where do we pick number 3 and where do we want it to go? Well, midpoint here and midpoint at the bottom of the hockey puck number 2 is a good choice. So it'll flip, spin, and move. I hope. Click, and did as we expected. Zoom out. 3D conceptual. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are like 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5. The next one is 6. Similar to 5, but we're hanging it on a diagonal surface instead of a vertical surface. We can do it. Change the visual style to 2D wireframe. I won't draw the red, green, blue lines again. We'll go straight to align. Pick what's going to move, rotate, and spin. Enter. First source point. Well, which side, which rectangle, which 2 points of this hockey puck do we hang on this sharp edge here? Okay, let's pick, say, this point, and double checking. Okay, we want that point to be glued to there. We want that point. No. that point to be as close as possible to there. It'll really fall short between there and the midpoint. So bungee cord number 2, slightly weaker, will go to those 2 endpoints. Now to control the pivoting, we want the midpoint of this edge, could be either endpoint, to be as close as possible to the midpoint of this or either end. Did exactly what we wanted. Move our art piece. Careful to pick 2 points on the XY axis. Try to get them so they're side by side. Conceptual. 3D free orbit. Again, that's the second one on the fly out. Zoom in. We've replicated the 3D model. Okay, we'll soon do an exercise of making a sawhorse. It's going to be the next step in complexity with the align command. Okay. Let me know if you got any questions. See you Thursday. Catch you later. Bye.